The sound of metal striking metal rang out dry and sharp, breaking the stillness of the night. Dust swirled up in thick clouds. In the dense darkness, muscular bodies repeatedly slammed into steel walls, creating a scene so tense and chaotic it felt suffocating. This was not a staged shot. It was the reality of a large-scale enclosure trap system being triggered right at the forest's edge. A night that began with a call for help quickly turned into a fierce struggle between humans and the wild. Just a few days earlier, John, a farmer deeply rooted in this land, had called in a state of worry. His voice dropped low, heavy with exhaustion. When the control team arrived, the once thriving orchard now resembled a devastated field. The ground had been overturned in large patches. Tree trunks were scratched, broken, and left standing bare in the open. Every trace led toward the distant forest, where the shadows seemed to conceal a greater danger lurking quietly within. Wild boars were no longer appearing alone. As their numbers grew rapidly and slipped beyond control, they became a truly destructive force. Not only did they ruin crops, but they also posed a serious risk to those living near forested areas. Traditional small cage traps were nearly useless against a herd this large and alert. The chosen solution was a system large enough to control the entire herd at once. 3 high-strength steel enclosure traps were set up at key locations. Throughout the afternoon, the team worked non-stop, assembling metal panels into a solid enclosed circle. The structure needed to be wide enough to contain the entire herd and strong enough to withstand powerful impacts. Corn was set to be automatically dispensed at fixed intervals, matching the time the herd usually appeared. The familiar sound of feed hitting the ground gradually formed a conditioned response. Over time, their caution faded. Their focus was drawn entirely to the food source, causing them to ignore unusual signs around them. Night fell. A cold wind from the forest slipped through the leaves. From a safe distance, the team watched silently through their monitors. The first images emerged from the darkness. One shadow appeared, then several more. Within a short time, dozens of wild boars began entering the trap area. Only when the last one was fully inside and the entire herd was absorbed in feeding No longer paying attention to the exit, was the signal activated. Two large steel doors slammed shut in an instant. The sound was brief but decisive, like a sharp explosion. Chaos erupted immediately. The herd jolted, crowded together, let out frantic cries, and charged into the steel walls in desperation. The repeated impacts caused the entire structure to shake violently. As the first light of dawn appeared, the control team moved closer to the trap. Inside were more than a dozen wild boars, their bodies tense, their eyes fierce. Their strength was evident in every movement. Just standing nearby was enough to feel the underlying danger. The next phase was just as risky: transport. A specialized trailer was brought right up to the trap entrance. A steel chute was securely installed, connecting directly from the trap to the vehicle. Using protective barriers, the team guided each animal into the trailer. Every step was carefully calculated to limit panic. The vehicle trembled under the weight of the wild bodies. When everything was finished, the trap area gradually returned to silence. Morning sunlight filtered through the canopy, clearing away the lingering tension of the long night. The forest seemed to return to its familiar rhythm. The battle to protect crops has never been simple. But with careful preparation, the right technology, and persistence, humans can still find ways to maintain control without disrupting the natural balance. One night came to an end, and for John, it marked the beginning of a rare peaceful day in a land constantly shaped by the challenges of the wild.
The sound of metal crashing tore through the quiet night. Dust rose thick into the air. Dozens of powerful bodies slammed violently against the solid steel walls. This was not a scene from an action movie, but a chilling sight I witnessed with my own eyes when our massive livestock pen trap system was activated. A tense night began as chaotic cries echoed out of the darkness. A few days earlier, Mr. Daniel, a longtime farmer living on the edge of the forest, called me with a worried voice. When I arrived, the orchard he was so proud of looked like a battlefield. The ground had been ripped apart in large patches. Many fruit trees were broken and gnawed. He pointed toward the dense tree line in the distance and sighed, as if to say that the real nightmare had only just begun. As their numbers grew beyond control, they were no longer simply part of nature but had become a direct threat to crops and to the safety of communities living near the forest. We knew that traditional small cage traps were useless against a herd this large. To manage the population effectively and humanely, we had to take a much bigger step. Three heavy-duty steel corral trap systems were quickly deployed at several hot spots along the forest edge. The whole team worked non-stop through the afternoon. One by one, we assembled the massive steel panels into a giant enclosed circle. The most important part was installing the large drop gates connected directly to infrared cameras for remote activation. However, the real secret weapon sat at the center of the trap, an automatic feeder. We programmed it to release corn at the same time the wild boars usually appeared. When they focused on the food pile, their natural caution would drop, making them less aware of anything around them. Two in the morning. The forest wind cut sharply through the cold night. Inside the truck parked a few hundred meters away, we sat completely still. Our eyes were fixed on the phone screens showing the infrared camera feed. From the dark brush, shadowy shapes began to appear. Dozens of wild boars quietly stepped into the circle to feed on the corn. The golden rule of this work is patience. Rushing even a second can mean failure. You must wait for the lead sow to enter. You wait for the last one to cross the gate. You wait until the entire herd is distracted by the food and unaware of what is happening. The moment the tail of the last boar disappeared past the threshold, the steel gate slammed shut instantly. The space inside the trap exploded into chaos. Loud squeals echoed while heavy bodies crashed against the steel. They struggled desperately, trying to break the fence. The moment felt suffocating and intense, yet it also marked the success of the operation in a single night. When the first light of dawn appeared, we approached the trap. The sight was overwhelming. More than a dozen large wild boars crowded inside, their bristles raised and their eyes glowing with fear. Sharp tusks scraped against the steel bars, producing a harsh metallic sound. Standing before them, you realize how small humans truly are compared to the raw power of the wild. Professional wildlife control is not simply about capturing animals. It also involves handling and transporting them safely and efficiently, protecting both people and livestock nearby. As the morning sunlight filtered through the leaves, the cold darkness of the previous night slowly faded away. The fight to protect crops is never easy. But with the right techniques and patience, people can still find ways to coexist with nature and manage wildlife responsibly. A long night had come to an end, and today Mr. Daniel and the farmers here could begin their day in familiar peace.